you could have fulfilled, but didn't because of the fear. Everyone has fears. I've found it interesting to read about some people that we know in the public eye that have fear. Johnny Depp, the actor, has always had a great fear of heights. But he's starred in some movies like the Chocolate Factory, was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and the Pirates of the Caribbean. But in that movie, he had to hang from the mast of his ship for quite a long period of time, do all kinds of stunts high up in the air. He had decided that he wasn't going to let this fear paralyze him, but he was going to do it with fear. Do it anyways. And thus he was able to make what's become known as a good movie, a great movie, several great movies. I read about Oprah Winfrey, you know, the businesswoman, interviewer, philanthropist, actress, author. Do you know she grew up in total poverty? She had a lot going against her, and she says in her book that it was her father that helped turn her around. She went to live with her father, and he brought her into some discipline of life and some structure and some positiveness of life that really has allowed her to go on to be who she is today. But when she first started her career, she had many, many fears. She had a fear of being one of the first African-American women to break into her field. But she pressed through that. She also had a fear of being ridiculed because at that time she was overweight. She had a fear of making decisions that were crucial to her life and her career and her success. She's been making many decisions since that time, but she had to overcome those fears. And in her own words, she says this: the thing you fear most has no power over you. Your fear of it is what has power over you. Not the thing that you fear, but the fear of it has the power over you. Mark Twain once said, courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery over it. I don't wish for you a year, 2008, without fear. Without fear. But I wish for you, my brothers and sisters, a year of mastery over fear. You know, the syndicated advice columnist Ann Landers, she says that at one time in her life, she received 10,000 letters a day dealing with people's problems. But someone once asked her if there was a common denominator of her correspondence. She said the great overriding theme of all the letters she read was fear. Fear of nearly everything imaginable that left many people paralyzed or crippled in life. I want to focus today on, He hath not given us a spirit of fear. I want to first focus on the bondage of fear. And second, I want to focus on the deliverance from fear. Because surely both are in that passage. Do you know that some fears, I can't wish you to have a life without fear, because some fears are good fears. Not all are bad fears. Some are even godly fears. Some fears help provide us with sudden bursts of energy, quick reserves of strength, and thought that help us to be protected or be preserved, or to help our loved ones and ones we care about to be protected and preserved and safe. If I have to be operated on, I'm glad that that doctor has a fear of doing the wrong thing or giving the wrong prescription, because that helps him to give the right one, the right diagnosis, and to check and recheck himself to be sure that he's doing what is best for me. If I was an electrician, I would be glad for the fear of the electricity, because that would lead me to be careful about what I touch and how I touch it and how I work with it, right? If I was an airplane pilot, my fear of thunderstorms would be a good thing, because that would lead me to avoid the thunderstorm and be able to land the plane in safety, fly it and land it in safety. But that's not what it's talking about. He hath not given us a spirit of fear. It's not those kind of good fears in our lives. And of course, there's others. The Proverbs 1:7 says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So there's the fear of the Lord that is good for us to have. And I must say that part of our problem is with fear. Today, a big measure of our problem is because we've lost the fear of the Lord, or diminished the fear of the Lord. Why does our country fear so much? Because we don't have the fear of the Lord. And if you don't have the fear of the Lord, you fear everything. The fear that I'm talking about is what 1 Timothy 1:7 or 2 Timothy 1:7 calls the spirit of fear. I suppose that psychologists or psychiatrists would call that phobias. It might be the word for today, but the Center for Disease Control in Atlanta identifies 1,700 of them, and it lists them all out from A to Z. Let me give you a few of them. There's, of course, acrophobia, the fear of high places. There's claustrophobia, the fear of closed places. Get that kind of person that has that fear in a room, very small, with no windows and no doors, and they go crazy. They're nervous. They have to get out. But then there's the opposite, agoraphobia. That's the fear of open places. You put that person in an open field, no walls and nothing to give him stability, and then they get nervous. Then there are people who fear getting sick. There's pathophobia, the fear of disease. And you find those kind of people washing their hands all the time. There was a comic strip not too long ago, Charlie Brown, and or Peanuts. And Charlie Brown, it's the proverbial going to Lucy for counsel, 5 cents. I think that should be higher today. It's still 5 cents when we first started. But she's still 5 cents. And her counsel is worth every penny of it. But Charlie Brown is saying, I don't know, about Christmas. I just don't feel right this year about Christmas. And she says, well, you think it's because you have some fears? He says, yeah, perhaps. She says, well, there's the fear of being alone. That's autophobia. Yeah? She says, there's the fear of new